Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. If you, it's snowing this afternoon here where I'm at in the Keystone State, and this picture on my backdrop was taken from the world famous Horseshoe Curve, which I have been at 3 of the last 4 years. Also, a couple hours away. It was closed today because of at noon because of the snow conditions. But let's keep in mind with what we're doing. Um, my name is Dustin. I am autistic. I have some other mental health conditions, and I've been doing this autism thing for over 2 decades. And every week I get on here on my podcast and vlog and share a little piece of the story of how I manage life being autistic, or maybe story of where how I got to where I am today. I'm very successful. I've been living independently 6 years. I've just now established the fact that I've lived in my current apartment for 4 years straight, and alone is nothing short of a miracle amid a pandemic. Um, I work part-time and I do some things. I've come a far way since being diagnosed over 2 decades ago. So without further ado, we're going to get into this week's vlog. So this week, I really wasn't really thinking until yesterday, but I remember maybe I did a blog post maybe, and you can go on my website. I'll give that at the end where you can see all my blogs. But I did one that was in last spring that was called "Music is Everything." And now I wanted to get into why music is everything. And music can be very helpful for an autistic person in many ways. Um, I am one who is sensitive to sound. I have a big noise sensitivity. But one thing that really helps with coping is music. Another thing is meditation. And this week, among both of those things, along with reading a social story for the first time in my late 30s, it was how I was able to get through the day, which could have been very challenging. So we're going to tell a little story here. So yesterday I had a dental procedure and it went quite well, by the way, but in preparation and in beforehand of that dental procedure, I had some anxiety. So I did Google a social story and I read it. Um, but as the day went on, the day before, so that'd be Wednesday, today is Friday, um, the anxiety creeped up. And as it always does, with everything new or challenging or unknown to me, but I didn't pay attention to the signs, and I reacted to those who love me the most in the way that I always do, with their unconditional love. And someday I hope I can get away from doing that. And part of that was, as the evening progressed, I was able to go to bed and keep with my mental health routine as normal. But the next morning, I was continually anxious in the morning before heading out for this appointment. And so I played a meditation video, which I've had in my playlist on my YouTube for some time now. But I do play it, but not all the time. And it's not a go-to for me, or it hasn't been until now. But now that I realize how much it has helped me, it was a 10-minute meditation on anxiety by Goodful, and it helped me so much get that stress away from me and that anxiety and just what I was feeling and what the next step that I had to do, even though there were multiple steps involved in the day. It had me focus on the one step that I needed to do to get there. And in that course of that going through that meditation, I was able to um, get the stress weight off of me and able to do what I need to do. Now, the next step before I went to my appointment, I had a couple songs that I play before I go to said appointment because um, there are some, it kind of has its way with the roads. And that's how I do a lot of my music. It goes with the roads sometimes, not always, but sometimes. And for this certain place where I was going to this dental appointment, th there were a couple songs that I like to play in going there. I've always played them. It's been around for about 6 years now, or five. I'm sorry, five. It'll be 5 here coming up. And it has allowed me to calm down and it was very relaxing when I got to the dentist and I was able to check in and thankfully, they're 25% of their population is special needs, so they do know what they're doing. And I was able to go out and sit in the car with my mother and for about 10 or 15 minutes until they called me in. Half an hour the procedure was done. It went exactly as it did in the social story. But the more I think about it, and the more I realize that I need to go to that meditation more often. And we had talked about it, with my treatment team, and we feel that's a very helpful thing for me is to go to the meditation or go to the music. And I wish, somebody would just say it to me. And, even though they know, and I know too, but I need to do that more often. And I think for the longest time as an autistic person, I have felt shame about wearing headphones in public, even though it's a more commonplace thing. Uh, Growing up, that wasn't, and this may have been before being diagnosed, and possibly sometime after. Um, the appearance of headphones in the educational setting or in the commonplace was not really something it was really something that was frowned upon, or not something that that was you had to just muster up your courage and do what was expected of you. And I'm not disenfranchising any of my educators, especially in that time or before or after. They were some pretty good educators. But there was not education at the time, especially with someone like me who comes from the Asperger's era, who didn't who there was just a diagnosis and it came straight out of the DSM-4, and there was really no guidance or no education or no training, even for the professionals. They did what they could do, they did what was best, but they really didn't know. And in reality, they now know, but it's taken a long way in those 25 years to get where we are today. So to know that it's okay to put on music and or meditate or do whatever it is to balance the mood, balance the anxiety, um, that's just something that is what is needed to be done for me to cope as an autistic human being. There is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing out of the ordinary with it, but that is just how it is. And I think, as we get away more and more from the world of autism awareness and more towards autism acceptance, in a world where we are more accepting of autistic folks, wouldn't it be more that it'd be okay more for us to wear the headphones when we are out and about in the public? Would that be more and more of what we need in order to cope and calm down with the situations that we must experience? Granted, I've been wearing headphones probably in a van or a bus for over 2 decades now since graduating high school, and it is a great help, and it has helped me in many ways. And now with the great technological advances of smartphones, Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever that may be, there has been such great advances. Um, to be able to entertain with the music and how it can be very helpful for me anyway in coping with things. I don't even know how I could cope with riding buses now that I do. But I've ridden every bus every day for nearly a year now, and never really had a problem with wearing headphones. There are some drivers I do engage in a very brief conversation with, but then I put my headphones on and I do my thing. And, it's accepted for what it is. And I'm grateful for that. And people know who I am. And people appreciate me because I am taking care of my mental health. I am taking care of being autistic and coping with the challenges in a world that is not often made for us, that is not often accommodating or accepting of us. We have come leaps and bounds as far as being accepted by the world, but we still have a ways to go. And when it comes to doing things that may seem unorthodox, like wearing a headset, yet a simple accommodation is nothing in expense to what you would spend anywhere. You know, I think, more of my day services, they've now bought, I've never seen it in over 20 years, but they've now bought headphones for all the computer stations because they know it helps people. And now I know that, and expecting that there is a great relief in some way. But not that wouldn't have my headphones in the adapter jacks necessary, but to have that relief there is much needed and much helpful when I need to meditate. And now that I know, not only can I, if in those situations where there is a lot of energy, a lot of stress, that I can go into my quiet spaces and have stress and de-stress and meditate. And that meditation YouTube video can be very helpful for me when I use it. And just knowing I need to use it is a big thing. Um, Incorporating that into your wellness recovery, into my wellness recovery plan will be the next step. And it's one thing after another that makes the chain go good, and it keeps it going for what it is, accepting it for what it is, and understanding that there's nothing wrong doing what I'm doing. And if somebody has a problem to say about it, they'll take it up with me. And if I feel that it's worth addressing, I will. But in reality, it's nothing major. It's nothing that affects them. It's me being who I am, being proud of who I am, accepting who I am, and loving myself for who I am. In reality. But the music is what keeps me going. Meditation is helping now, and I'm seeing that more and more. So, with that being said, that is this week's vlog. And I hope you all stay in. And if you're in the cold weather, please stay warm this weekend. And Thanksgiving is next week. So we will have a vlog next week, probably Friday, maybe later. But I want to wish everybody in the States a happy Thanksgiving. Um, and we'll talk at you later. But before we do, we'll give our credits. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do so. We appreciate it. And I always work at bringing new content to you guys on this channel and on my podcast every week. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Pinterest at Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That handle is dustinsdynastyusa.com. And lastly, I have a link tray with all my links to all my socials, my website, my podcast, and everything that you need to know. And that handle is Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I want to wish everybody in the States a happy Thanksgiving. Take care of yourselves this weekend. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.